With less than 2 months away, we finally get some gameplay reveal of Total War 3 Kingdoms. And this is a pretty massive one here today, guys. This is about an 8.5 minute video from the Total War team going into the new spy system. We talked about this a little bit ago, I think a couple months back, when we did a little bit of a reveal about some of the mechanics of Three Kingdoms. So I want to go into this video alongside a guy from the content production team. Guy was responsible for pretty much doing the whole back end of Everchosen, so hats off to Guy here. So we're going to go through this video today and talk about some of the mechanics that Guy reveals in this Spies gameplay reveal, and what that possibly means about further Total War games with, like, Total War Warhammer 3, or how exciting it is just to see it in Three Kingdoms. So let's kind of wade our way through this video here. I'm going to go ahead and press play here. I'm actually going to keep Guy pretty loud so we can hear what he talks about for some mechanics, and then we can critique and comment on that. So essentially, Guy is setting up the let me turn this down a little bit as I kind of talk about what he's talking about. But basically he's talking about how, hey, we're going to use our spy system to pretty much go after Dongzhuo. And my pronunciations are really going to be shitty right now because I didn't spend a lot of time to really sit down and hammer things. So we have to do what I can with what I've got. So we see here a pretty cool overlay of the campaign map, right? And we've seen a little bit of this here and there with the diplomacy video. We've seen some kind of forays into this. We get some faction flags, it looks like here. We get the whole credibility system. We see things that we've kind of already seen. And dude, he's crushing it, man. 7,500 gold and 1,500 every turn. Shit. But we can kind of see, we can get a sense for how big this is. We see Korea over here. Can't see what's over here, or if Taiwan's on this map. Looking like it's pretty sizable. It looks like, I don't know if this is the northern, it looks like this might be the northernmost portion of the map. I don't think we've seen an entire map reveal just yet. This is supposed to be the northern portion of China anyway, since it's Cao Cao and everything. We can't really see too far to the west, and it looks like this goes quite a bit south here, right? I believe this is the Yangtze River. I'm not 100% sure that it's that one right there. My geography is shit when it comes to China. So if this is, then we've got quite a bit south to go. So hopefully we'll see more of this. And I've only watched this video once, so we're kind of going through it together. I figured that'd be a little bit more fun. They are doing an AMA that I'll do a separate video on. That's about 2 hours from the recording of this, and it's almost 8 a.m. So about an hour actually from the recording of this. So let's actually rewind that a little bit to here. So we kind of get this thing, right? The trustworthy second Marquis Cao Cao. But we have Liu Biao, a pacifist lord, a second Marquis. So we get a sense for how those Marquis things kind of overall step up towards the emperor that they can eventually become, right? We don't know too much about that just yet, but I don't even know where the second Marquis is on that list, so I guess we'll figure that out in time. But we see here how the pacifist lord works, right? So a man of peace, aims to create an empire of vassals and tributaries, protective in war, prefers to expand slowly, consolidates before moving forward, and fiercely protects his own lands. So you kind of get a sense for how each AI is configured by that. It goes a little bit forward here. Let's take a look.
With some strategic military support, has allowed me to delicately influence the geopolitical landscape to ensure security.
We get peaceful, how it kind of talks about him like way less likely to even want to go to war.
What can be a brutally hostile area of central China. As an excellent melder of emotions.
Remember, credibility is basically your diplomatic resource that you can use to spend to do certain actions, like you just saw there. It shows how boop. It kind of shows us how, okay, this costs 20 credibility to do a positive manipulation. So I would assume that those negative manipulation probably costs more to certain things, because maybe it's contrary to the disposition of the Lord. So I think you kind of have to like weigh those out. Now he talks about
Meet Lu Zhe, a high-ranking official in Dongzhuo's administration. However, Lu Zhe is secretly working for us. We released him from our service, At least that's how it looked to the rest of the world.
Now that's so cool. I love that spy system. Mainly because when Turn and I play in a head-to-head, he's going to use it against me, and I'm just going to screech the entire time. If I find out that he has put a lord in my army, I'll throw my mouse on stream. I don't give a shit. But that's awesome, right? It's how these undercover characters, you can see them in your what looks to be your like your list of characters, right? Let's back up just a little bit here, just so we can get a better, clearer look at this. We can see your undeployed characters, which look like these just might be like the guys that are in your court. There's court noble on them, possibly available for recruitment, or you've recruited them and haven't placed them in a position yet. We can see the ones that are already in play, and then our undercover characters, so we get a sense for what that is actually going to be like as far as managing our spy network. So that's actually pretty cool. I really like how that's done.
Rest of the world, and sent him out into the global recruitment pool.
So that's probably this.
He was snapped up by Dong Zhuo and was granted the governorship of Anding Commandery. Officially, and
it looks like this might be correlated. Like these little hearts might be correlated maybe to how much they like you, because we don't see it on anyone else, and it looks to be like a little bit more. I mean, a little heart right there.
He was snapped up by Dong Zhuo and was granted the governorship.
That's kind of cool. I like that. I think that kind of shows how much it costs to like upkeep of keeping this guy. Okay, yeah, he's an administrator and he's the governor, so he's costing this much. Total 269 per turn.
Of Anding Commander.
And we see some really cool things here with the weapons, the armor, the mounts. So some RPG mechanics here, right? We see expertise, we see resolve, cunning, instinct, and authority. I don't think they actually hover over those too much that I saw. So it looks like he's got special units attached to his retinue that we've seen. We've seen some stuff about how the retinues work, but not a huge deep dive. We see that he's a sentinel, which is his like, his class. Tax collector. It looks like that tax collector is probably assigned to him, and since he's part of another faction, we don't know, of course, where that sits in the hierarchy of the faction. So,
officially,
excels at locking down enemy heroes or holding a choke point for a long period of time. So he's got these nice little bonuses to expertise and cunning. Nice bonus to income. Tax collection is a necessary evil, as are its instruments.
He's working for the tyrant, but secretly, he's building up a cover network in order to perform covert actions for us.
And that's something that we've talked about, right? Is that cover network? How the more spies you have, the more network you gain, the cheaper it is to use spy actions. That cover mechanic that they were talking about. We know that when you first start out infiltrating a faction, things are hard to actually pull off.
And there's a lot he can do. If he decides his needs are best served elsewhere, he could join Dong Zhuo for real, or even take the power lent to him and secede to form a new faction with him at the helm. This can happen for non-spy characters as well. For instance, Huang Zhong, who starts the game as a character serving under Liu Biao, has broken away to form his own faction after becoming dissatisfied. Let's take a look at how spies work.
So cool. That is so cool. So we've got some buttons here. This is diplomacy, obviously. This probably is like probably family tree. Fortunately, that little thing is in the way. We'll see what this is in just a little bit. And then we have our spy network there, which is kind of cool.
Slots for spying will open up as I rank up my faction.
Boom, look at this tree. This is so beautiful. So it looks like, so this is color coded, right? So it looks like these larger branches go into different maybe portions of things, and they're color coded pretty differently, right? We have different colors for maybe looking at this, like red. I mean, that probably looks like military. And if we're talking about spies, this is probably the spy network core portion of it. And they do intersect at certain points. These branch points kind of touch. So that's an interesting touch too. It makes me think that, like, okay, maybe this one requires this and this. But I think one of the coolest things here is it's obvious to me that these have been selected. Thus, they're blooming. I think that's so fucking cool. That is so sick. Because I don't think that this has been selected. Same. We'll probably find out in the AMA today. But
I'll complete the dedicated.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, so if you hover over this, you can see that these things are all required to get to it. The dedicated spy network requires annual proficiency reports, masterful disguise techniques, and private tutors. So you get that kind of overarching layer that we see in a lot of the networks, or I'm sorry, not networks, a lot of the technology trees or research trees of other games. You get Total War Warhammer; they're all connected in a linear dot line. And Total War Empire had a pretty convoluted research system, and we get a little bit of that too in Rome as well, right? So you get this kind of really different approach to this that I really like.
Spy network reform and free up another slot for spying. So it's time to turn my attentions to other threats to my
so
power,
sick.
including some of my allies. After deploying a spy to any of the factions, they will sit in the recruitment pool awaiting employment to lead an army or take a place in the court. In this state, the spies can still garner a more detailed overview of an enemy faction's statistics.
That's pretty sick. So you can see how many reforms they've done, which are their technology, how many armies they've got, advisors, how much their income is, their food,
I have no agency
population, food.
Faction. Clever utilization of spies can help me stay 10 steps ahead in my quest to unite China and mitigate the chances of an ally double-crossing me due to an incoming expansionist faction leader who has little sentimentality towards me compared to his predecessor.
Oh.
An ever-vigilant eye over your own character pool.
Okay, I thought you just placed them in this kind of this recruitment pool, and they kind of get served wherever they get. It looks like rather than doing that, you can actually focus them on one court in specific and try and break into it. So that's pretty sick. And here we can see these followers and accessories things here. So looks like it's some sort of, we've had followers in every other game, but it looks like you can only have one rather than a whole slew of them. Same thing with accessories, which is interesting.
Rival factions can and will install their own spies into your recruitment pool. In fact, I have my own fair share of concerns over this Dongzhuo alumnus.
Oh, check that out.
In fact, I have my own.
So that's pretty sick. So we see that he's with Cao Cao, or guy is playing Cao Cao. But in the past, he was with Deng Zhuo. So I really like that. I like that we can see, you know what? I don't really trust you at all, dude. Like, you could easily be someone who is coming from an enemy.
Fair share of concerns over this Dongzhuo alumnus. Spies use two resources.
So he's going to go into the two resources they use here. So the undercover network is one, and that pretty much is what allows you to really do a lot of your actions. But it allows you to do your actions. The other one is cover, I believe it is, but we'll let it progress forward. And the way cover works is basically the ability to use, over the time your spies will establish a convincing personal cover, thereby allowing them to perform increasingly ambitious actions. The rate at which they establish cover increases with experience, but so too does the amount of cover required to carry out actions. And just like I was about to say, is that cover is used as basically your currency. Your spy network is the ability to really maintain your spies' covert actions, and you can see here, okay, it costs this much spy network and this much cover to use an action. And basically that it's almost like a fallback, right? If your cover's blown, you can use your spy network to pull the guy out. At least that's what they told me during a meeting a long time ago. But we see we can build undercover network more to probably increase this. Obstruct the faction's trade efforts by cost trades, empower trade, manipulate the faction's trade efforts, thereby increasing your own trade power, counter spy, meddle in the faction's intelligence efforts, thereby diminishing their undercover network effectiveness whilst increasing your own, vocally support your faction within the court, which I love, larceny, steal a random item, love it. Discredit characters, spread malicious rumors about a character, thereby significantly diminishing their satisfaction within the court. And then lastly, discredit the faction, incite a malcontent to spread toward rumors about untoward rumors. That is some British way of speaking right there. I do say so. Got pretty mouths about the faction, thereby slightly diminishing satisfaction throughout the court. I love it. See, I love how the spy network has such an overarching effect, right? Because Okay, that was just like administrative actions. You can also do general actions like infiltrate armies, leak marching orders to show where people are on the map, deny military supplies so people have to move slower, falsify marching orders so people just kind of get overall. Let's go with fault. I don't know what that one is. And poison military provisions, so you're actually doing damage to an army as a whole. We'll go into how prevent Henry replenishment. Diminishing its range and causing troops to be fatigued in battle. Falsify marching orders does. So we see this kind of spy network really expanding out, and it really excites me for stuff that we can do, like, okay, so open gates, diminish public order, deny garrison supplies, poison garrison provisions, investigate yellow turban uprising. That means you can instigate. So basically you can cause a rebel, not revolt, but yeah, I guess a revolt, going with it. And then surrender a territory to your faction. So what I like about this is what it kind of means for the rest of Total War games, right? This is going to set a bar for how spies and agents are going to have to act throughout the rest of the series. I mean, you can't go to Total War Warhammer 3 and not have something that kind of that echoes this sentiment. And that means the same thing for Empire 2, Medieval 3, Rome 3, Shogun 3, whatever the next title is after this. It's going to have to up the ante of this. So I'm really stoked to see how this spy mechanic kind of plays itself out, right?
He was caught as he fled Anding, but Dong Zhuo, the merciless warlord, has chosen to spare him. It is possible he was just in a good mood, but there's a very real chance that Dong Zhuo has taken control of Yu Zhe and sent him back as a double agent within my own faction.
That's pretty cool. I don't know if that was a little too low for you, but basically they're saying that Dong Zhuo actually discovered Liu Zhe as a spy, and rather than saying, hey, you're fucking dead, they released him back to my court. But that could have also meant that he is now a double agent. So you can really get pretty spicy with these agents. They don't have to just simply be oh, look at Lu Bu. Look at Lu Bu. Boom! Warrior without equal, legendary vanguard. We see as his like warrior title, or not warrior, to his class. We can't see what his special units are, so we can't see anything about his cool shit. We don't even know anything about him at all. Look at this. Look at this. We don't know anything. But we see he's age 40. We see he's a chief officer. It's a factionaire. We don't see much on him, but look at his instinct. It's through the damn roof. So we can see who he likes, though. Oh, well, not in this, obviously, but that's cool. You can see in the character pane what the relationship is with other individuals.
And rejoin the real friends he made fighting in Dong Zhuo's ranks. These are intricacies of the all-new Guanxi system, another revelation for the Total War formula. Make sure to subscribe for the upcoming video where we'll take a deep dive into the new.
Oh, another video on Guanxi. I hope it's narrated by you guy, you cheeky motherfucker.
The dissidents and return the province to its former owner. Perhaps this region isn't truly the object of Cao Cao's desires. Cao Cao himself is at the heart.
I'm actually going to jump forward just a little bit here. And this pretty much talks about wanting to get control of this so they can pretty much have the valley access to Chang'an. Right here.
I'll spend some of Cao Cao's credibility.
There we go. So what this talks about now is, rather than having to deal with fighting Lu Bu and Dong Zhuo head on, he's going to incite a proxy war. He's going to choose someone that is close to his region to fight into Dong Zhuo, so he has pretty much full access on the eastern front. We can see that Huangzhong is located over here on the west. So if he issues a proxy war, Dong Zhuo is going to have to push this way, while Cao Cao is free to kind of push this direction. So it's pretty sick here, right? You can instigate a whole entire secondary war. I mean, that has nothing to do with Russia and China, or I'm sorry, Russia and the U.S. for once. So that's kind of interesting, right? That's the first time I've heard that the word proxy war used in the modern day without those two superpowers wrapped up in the name of it. So the last thing I want to get into here, and this is really sick, we have Dian Wei, who's holding court. So you can assassinate the faction leader because he's spying on Liu Biao. So boom. Actually, like, doesn't cost a whole ton. I mean, it sure costs 72 cover, but you can see at that point you're probably pretty well into it. So now that he's assassinated the faction leader, he then has control of the faction. Like, holy shit. I love how you can actually, you don't have to do a single bit of conflict on one portion of the map if it's so far away. You can just invest in a spy network and completely take out a whole entire other army or other faction without even raising a single army against it. And I think that that is so awesome. Like, if you think about it, like think of your army in the center of the map, and on the east you've allied up with 2 other factions, and on the west you're fighting one larger faction. So you're slowly conquering that western faction, and those 2 factions on the east are starting to fight each other. Well, what can happen is you just spy network to the one that's stronger, and then eventually, once it's like just about to take out the other one, you just use your spy network to eventually go through the process of taking out the faction by just basically supplanting their faction leader through the spy network. And that is so awesome. You now have conquered all of that land with only having fought one enemy. Now, with doing this, though, you do start the faction yourself, and people, separatists that are loyal to you, loyal to the original, the chief faction, will become rebel armies against you. Now, that is not a random number. It's not just randomly determined. During our initial interview with them some months back, they said that that's relative to the relation that your spy has with the rest of that entire faction. So let's say that faction is it's got like 5 territories, and the spy's been governor in 2 or 3. Well, they're going to have a better relationship with him. So when he goes to abdicate, to take over the faction leadership, then those provinces are going to fall in line with him better than the other ones that he has no relation with. So I'm really, really excited here, guys, for what we're going to see with Total War 3 Kingdoms. It's been so scant in the past couple months, so hopefully we're going to get a lot more stuff that kind of builds that hype train and that choo-choo into the station. But again, the biggest thing here is for what this means for future Total War games. Like Total War Warhammer 3, maybe it's going to have an elaborate cultist network for the Chaos Demons that matches how this spy network works. Or maybe even a counter network to that. Like maybe we're going to finally have like an Imperial Witch Hunter network that kind of matches something like this to combat against Chaos Demons. And maybe human factions can have stuff like that. So we have a lot of really cool, amazing intrigue that this creates in the game. And it causes a lot of different ways to play that are not just simply destroying your enemy outright. You can actually have multiple fronts open to you, right? You can have a war on one front and then a whole entire shadow war going on the other front. So I really, really enjoy what the Spies Network bring to the game. But that kind of sums up our video for here today. We will do another one with the AMA, kind of summarizing all the awesome points that we see talked about today on the Reddit. So go ahead and check that out. There is it's like the top post. You can't miss it. So that's in about an hour here from now. It's 8:05 a.m. So who knows what time it is when this actually goes up. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching here today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, check out my Patreon, all the kind of goodies, right? But have a good one, guys, and take care.